Alrighty, got it. And all right. All right, fellas, you guys ready?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
All right, let's do it. All right, we are live, y'all. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another session of the Double Cloud Podcast. You guys already know my name is Will. I'm the host of this show. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're tuning in for the very first time, thank you so much for tuning in. We got a great show for you guys. As you guys can see, we have a great panel for you guys. We have a great topic. All you guys out there that subscribe to my channel, thank you so much for all the love and support. Thank you so much for subscribers. Much love to you guys. Don't forget, we do have the live chat going, y'all. We have the live chat. So all you guys are always tuning in every single Wednesday, always dropping bombs, sharing your thoughts on the live chat, and also roasting the hell out of the people in the live chat. Sometimes you guys roast us. Thank you so much. All you guys on the live chat, get it going. So if you guys are watching this right now, let me just, I see this. The markers, I'm adding markers on right now real quick. Yeah. All you guys out there watching this right now, let's get the live chat going. You guys already know what we do in the live chat real quick. You guys already know in the beginning of my show, I always gotta do my YouTube stuff to like and subscribe real quick. But before we start the show, I'm gonna go on a little rant real quick. I have something to get off my chest.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I have to say, you know me, facts over feelings. So you guys already know, I put in a lot of work every single time to make great content for you guys. So everybody that do subscribe and like my channel, much love to you guys. Thank you so much. But you know me, I'm always looking to improve my channel, grow my channel. That's all I always humbly ask. If you guys love the content, just press the like and subscribe button. The one thing great about YouTube, we have something called YouTube Studios, and we can see the analytics. The one thing I do notice for the people that watch my show, because I do know a majority of the people that watch my live shows, a lot of you guys are Pacific Islanders. And I do see on my analytics, it says that 80% of the people that watch my show are not subscribed to my channel. So all I'm saying is today we're going to be talking about success, uplifting our people in order to be successful. And the one thing I always hear from Pacific Islanders, people out there, you're always talking about, I'm proud of Pacific Islander. Let's support Pacific Islanders, let's uplift everybody. I wish I see more people in different careers, different walks of life. And we're always talking about uplifting people. So all I'm saying is if you're a Pacific Islander right now and you watch my show and you love what I do, but you're not subscribing to my channel, you're not supporting my channel, all I'm saying is for me, I'm gonna call you out. That's freaking hypocritical. So I just want to say, hey, keep it real for you guys. So I know a lot of people, because I do believe that's one of the biggest things that we often don't do is we don't support each other. So all I'm saying, like, I'm not entitled to your like and subscribe. If you like, subscribe, it doesn't matter to me. But all I'm saying is, if you love the content, love what I do, and I see 80% of you guys are not subscribed, and a lot of you guys are Pacific Islanders, you love the content, just press that like, subscribe button. But like I said, if you don't like the content, you don't have to do it. But just want to put it out there because I know a lot of people, you guys do watch it. And like I said, I do appreciate all you guys do support and press that like, subscribe button. So all I want to say is press that like, subscribe button. And if you don't like me, hate my guts, you're triggered by me, don't worry about it. Go see somebody. I don't know why you watch me if you hate me. There's a deeper issue right there. Go see a therapist or something. But nevertheless, just want to put it out to people. Let's support each other. And if you support my channel, press that like, subscribe button real quick. Also, don't forget the super chat donations. You guys get super chat donations. You guys get Nancy drop a super chat donation to my channel. So if you truly want to support my channel, drop a super chat donation. Ask it through a question, ask it through a topic, and I will read it live on the channel. And I also ask these guests to give you a live response. And I know a lot of you guys. I know you guys can support the channel. A lot of you guys. I know you guys have the money because all you gotta do is look at the physiology. I know you got the money to take it based on what you eat. All you gotta do just drop a super chat and to my channel if you want to, and I read it live for you guys. So much love to you guys. But don't forget, this is a public Zoom. It is a public Zoom. I'll always allow people to come on and jump on my channel if you guys want to be part of this conversation. There was a few people last time that wanted to jump on. They came in at the very beginning of the channel, but then they dropped off in the 5-10 minutes as we got into the show. There will be certain times. So if you want to, I see one person right now, Isaiah, much love to you in the waiting room. All I want to say is if you want to be on the live show, there will be times throughout the show I'm allow you guys to jump on. Because this is a conversation. This isn't you just coming on here and going on a rant and speaking your piece. No, this is a conversation. We get to interact with us and have a conversation. So you have to listen. Majority of the time, I give it to my panel guests. They're the ones on my show. I give the time to them because they're the ones come on here. But also allow you guys, there will be time throughout my show. So if you guys want to be part of it, just wait in the waiting room. There will be a time. I'll call your name, allow you part of the show. But if you think you're just gonna come on here and leave, then I know you're not here for the conversation. You're just here to say your piece and you don't want to listen to anybody else say. So take the time to listen what our panel guests has to say. And then once you're in the waiting room, I see your names, then I'll add you guys on real quick. And I just want to say, Isaiah, I see your name on the waiting room. Give us some time and there will be a time I'll allow you. You'll be the first one to allow in since you're the first one on the waiting room. But nevertheless, that's pretty much what I want to say. We have a great topic for you guys tonight. Like I said, let's get the live chat going. Drop a super chat donation. And of course, if you want to find out what the public Zoom link is, it's on my social media page. And I'm about to post it right now on the chat. So you guys can just click it on the chat and get on the Zoom call. All right, so fellas, let's get it going. Can you guys go ahead, introduce yourselves real quick intro for everybody before we go right into the show. And I'll start it off with you. Daniela, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, hey, thanks all for the opportunity. For everyone watching, either live or on the YouTube video. My name is Daniela Lauta. I'm currently in New Zealand. I work in the construction industry. I'm a project manager as a professional career choice. But what I really do, I connect dots. That's all I do. Whether that's from a tool background to a management background, I just connect the dots. In construction, the biggest thing that I believe in is the 2 Ps, and that's people and process. You figure out people, you figure out process, you can survive in this industry, and you can succeed. Other than that, that's who I am. And yeah, thanks for the opportunity, Will.
All right, no worries, man. Daniela always represent holding it down from New Zealand. Thank you so much, Daniela. Let's go ahead, Marcus, man.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Marcus Daniels. I'm Samoan and Black. I am from, I live in Oregon, Portland, Oregon right now. Just like Will said, it's important that we support each other. So please, if you are on this podcast, paying attention to this podcast, like and subscribe to his channel because we get these topics out. We talk about these things. So let's roll. But a little bit more about me. I am a martial arts instructor. I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And like I said, my biggest thing for me, the thing that I want to do, you can find me on TikTok. But the biggest thing for me is I talk about growth and I talk about positivity, and that's positivity across all sectors in our relationships, in our kids' lives, in our parenting lives, in our finances and stuff like that, and especially in our faith. And so like that's the biggest thing about me. But let's roll.
All right. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Savage, man. Go ahead, Savage.
What's up, guys? My name is Savage Island. Yeah, on TikTok, Instagram, and I'm on this panel of a group of amazing men right here. And yeah, definitely, if you support Pacific Islander, whether it be content, clothing lines, mixed martial arts, gyms, do so that it comes out of the kindness of your heart that you want to see us progress, you want to see us advance. I can't tell you what to do with your money. I can't tell you what to do with your attention. I can't tell you what to do with your form of support. But the one thing I can tell you is if you are complaining about representation, if you are complaining about not seeing enough of us up there on the TV, in the industry, wherever you want to see us thriving and succeeding, it could be the lack of support that you are not showing. So, with that being said, all it takes is, tapping in and finding out a little bit about what we do. Not even just here, us on this panel, but what everybody out there is trying to strive and do. It's a fairly new ground for us Pacific Islanders, some of us being first generation and some of us being further ahead in generations. But just keep in mind that all it takes is for you to tap in and really see what we're doing and what we're passionate about. Other than that, to my haters, fuck you.
All right. Yes, sir. And I co-sign to that, Savage. I co-sign to that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. And last but not least, the OG himself. Siao, go ahead, man.
All right, guys. I'm in the health industry. I've been a entrepreneur for a long period of time. And I just want to go back to, people really take a look about who we are as individuals and who we are as just human beings. Polynesian human beings. We used to say that it takes our own kind to pull our own kind down. What we want to do at this moment is like really uplift every single person. And you don't have to agree with all the conversation, but at least if you're participating in lifting somebody up, you truly get to understand that
you're part of that. So be part of or be part of something that's bigger than who you are, and that you get to uplift. So please share, like, and subscribe. That's all it is. We're just asking you to just do so, because it's necessary for all of us to uplift each other. All right. So that's it.
All right. Thank you so much, Chelsea and fellas. Always, like I always say, thank you so much for taking the time to be on here. I really always humble and gracious for you to be on here. And like I said, guys, like I said, if you love the content, like I said, I'm not entitled, but if you appreciate what we do and what we're trying to create a new space for our people to be able to have open dialogue and speak about certain things in life that we may not have the opportunity to at home or at places, or you want to give it the opportunity to speak, and that's why we have this platform. So like I said, if you appreciate the work we do and our time that we give it to message to you guys, press that like, subscribe, none. And if you don't, you hate my guts, like Savage said, fuck you. Anyways. Hey, we're gonna keep it moving. I'm gonna keep do you. We're gonna do us. All right, no matter what. But hey, you watching us, so we're winning today. All right, so Natasha, I see your name on the waiting room. Natasha, I'll just give us some time. I'm gonna open up the topic and allow you to jump on.
Hold it in there.
So Natasha, just hold on there. I got you. But fellas, the topic at hand: can Pacific Islanders succeed in America if they only hang around with Pacific Islanders? So I'm gonna open up with this, and I'll pass it down to you guys, and you guys can take the floor. So for me, my answer to that question is no. I don't believe that as a Pacific Islander, you can reach your true potential in life, your purpose, and truly succeed in America if you only choose to isolate yourself with only Pacific Islanders. Because I do know as Pacific Islanders, we're very cultural people. We have deep rooted traditions and culture. I looked up online, the definition of culture is the social behavior and norms found in human society, as well as the knowledge, beliefs, arts, laws, customs, capabilities, and habits of the individuals in these groups. So the one thing I know about everything in life is there's pros and cons. The great thing about our culture as being a Pacific Islander, it brings people together, brings families together. It gives us a form of self-identity, to know who you are, to know your origin, to know your roots. Because if you don't know who you are, you don't know your roots, or where you come from, you can get lost in this world. This world is a scary place. So you have to know your origin before you go to your destination. That's why it's so important. That's why culture is great. But I also understand that success requires a certain type of mindset. And I do believe that sometimes culture can be a con, because pretty much what culture means to me is doing things a certain way based on where you come from. And you guys all know this. You guys are all men of success in your own different walks of life and profession. If you want to be successful, you have to really to do things that most people aren't willing to do, and you're going to do things to separate yourself and not fit in. And a lot of times, if you're very cultured, then what happens is it hinders you because it hinders your mindset. Especially if you want to be successful, because we have this term in the Pacific Islander community. You guys all know this, the island mindset, right? And the biggest problem I see is Pacific Islanders in America are still trying to live the same way in America they do in the islands. And the thing is, America is a total different country where you have to thrive here. You have to, in order to live a high quality and comfortable life. And the thing is, the mentality of a lot of Pacific Islanders, I believe, is what's holding them back. And I do believe that the only way for you to be successful here in America is either you have to go against your culture to learn a different mindset, or you have to unlearn your culture to learn the necessary mindset. Because we all know, all these fellas, you have to have a certain mindset in order to be successful. And if you don't learn that mindset because you don't want to go against your culture, you want to stay within your comfort zone, you don't want to disappoint people because you want to be liked, you don't want to disappoint your parents, your community, because you care what people think, then that's always going to hold you back in order to do what you want to do in life, your dreams, your goals, your purpose in life. And that's why I believe if you want to learn the right mindset, I think Marcus brought it up the last podcast, the best thing to do, especially when we talk about masculinity, is find other men and learn from those men. So if you want to learn a different mindset, either you can learn it yourself, or the best way you have to learn it from different people. And usually the people that, whatever your goal and dream is, the likelihood of the people that's doing well in your career or the things you want to do are probably not Pacific Islanders. It's other races. So you have to learn from other people besides your own. The only thing that we're good at, if you look at it, is sports. Sports, that's pretty much it. But if you look at other industries, there's not a big representation, what Savage said, of us in other industries. So we have to learn from other people. But that requires you to challenge what you know, to challenge your mindset, and to learn something new in order to do well. So that's my piece on it, fellas. But I'm gonna open up for you guys, and let me know your thoughts in the live chat. Natasha, just give me some time. Let me go against the panel real quick, get everybody's thoughts, and I'll add you on, Natasha, and you can jump on and be part of this conversation. But I'll open up with Marcus. What's your thoughts, Marcus, on this question?
Thanks for that intro. And let me tell you like this, like I kind of have a conflicted kind of view that goes along with this, but I agree with you when you say no. And when I'm saying no is that you can't succeed if you stay within your set group. There's a couple things that are going on, I think, within the Polynesian community. And for me, I look back into church, like when I go to church, man, it feels like there's a competition. It feels like there's this competition about who can do the best, right? And then when you look at a Polynesian, you look at a Polynesian man with his tongue in Samoan or whatever, Hawaiian, whatever, first thing that people ask you, hey, what's your ethnicity? And they see you after you're this big dude. Strength. That's the only thing that people see. They don't see that we're brilliant or bright. They don't see our intelligence. They don't see our drive or, our tenacity. And like I said, like a lot of us don't have the same kind of likes. A lot of us don't do the same. I like to read. I like to play video games. I like to jump on the computer every now and again. For me, I like to talk to people. I like to wear a suit, and that goes against a lot of the things that that our culture, tries to tell us, hey, look, you have to be a certain way. And then when you think about it, and I'm just going to go right back into the parenting because I love majority of my content is about parenting. And so like in parents, we only teach our kids what we know. And so I talked about competition, right? Well, then after that guy gets done squashing everybody in the strength and the show of strength, then it goes into comfort. You know what I'm saying? We start talking about comfort, right? And a lot of these kids aren't built, and I don't say kids, but a lot of, men, women, Polynesian aren't comfortable breaking outside the norm and getting made fun of or not going along with what everybody else says, or going along, hey, I work at the airport. Why don't you come get a job? Come work with me because they're hiring over it. Girl, I'll get you a job. I'll get you a job here quick. You can work at the airport and do all that kind of stuff. But that's not it. You know what I'm saying? That's not it. Why can't we be entrepreneurs and have that growth mindset and go and reach out to somebody who's successful, somebody who makes a certain amount of money, and then bring it back to our culture? And so I'm gonna say this last little thing, and it's probably gonna piss a lot of people off, but that's the one flaw that I see in the village mentality. The one flaw that I see in the village mentality is you can only go so high as the village elders, that's the statute of success. You can only be as good as them. And that's what you have to look up to. And this is what they say a family person is. This is what they say you're supposed to do. And that's all you can do. That's the one flaw in the village mentality.
Yeah, thank you, Marcus. Appreciate that. Yeah, and I totally agree with what you said. Like, I know in Pacific Islander culture, and you guys know this, like, if you try to do better than everybody else, they call you, like, in Tonga, they call you female. You want to, like, why are you trying to outshine people, even though, like, you're just trying to be the best version of yourself. So a lot of people try to push you down, even when you try to rise. Appreciate that, Marcus, man. Appreciate that. I'll pass it on to Savage, man. Bring the heat.
Bring the heat, brother.
Well, yeah, off the get, man. I support, at this point right now, I think breaking the mold is the most important thing, because there are going to be some things that some of us are into that our brothers and sisters are not into. And just staying on the subject as far as Pacific Islanders right now, right? Whether you be in America, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Germany, France, wherever you may hail from, just focusing on us, right? Most of my game that I got, right? Free game, gems, whatever the hell you want to call it, I've gotten from my brothers and sisters in the Black community, just being involved and thriving, and coming from where we come from, as far as known as the hood, it's the ghetto. You have to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. You have to make something out of nothing, and I had to learn that here, aside from learning it back home in Tonga. My grandparents left Tonga because of what they thought was limited at the time. My grandpa had a business back home, but then he came out here and opened a business out here without a college degree. How is that even possible, right? With the limited amount of knowledge and the information that he had at the time, especially growing up. like hitting that first wave of Islanders, Pacific Islanders, coming into the airport jobs, into the train work, the train yard, but most importantly, the military. This is how most of our ancestors, or our grandfathers or grandmothers into the first generations coming here was by military, and by way of that was showing, oh, these guys, just like Marcus said, was strength, size, they're athletic, and of course the sports stereotypes, the bodyguards, the security, the construction, the warehouse, and it sucks because we do fall into a mold only because of what we've been taught, right? So the ceiling, or what the Chiefs mentality is, you can do no better than I. You can do no better than I. For if you do, it is an act of defiance. You think you're better than me? You think you're better than me because you make a little bit more money than I do. You think because you have a bigger house than I do. And then it becomes resentment, right? I don't speak that on anybody personally, but it is it's normalized. So my point where I want to interject on most of it is having to go against the grain and knowing that you're going to have everybody against you. You have to be the rebel. You have to be the form of retaliation that people, oh, bro, are you really not going to go? You're not going to take the D1 scholarship? You're not? What do you want to do? You want to go on tour? You want to do music? You want to have a SoundCloud page? Are you serious, bro? That's not going to be successful. Nobody's going to support you. And it starts that way. It has, a good friend of mine does music, but he doesn't promote it in his own city. He has to go outside of his city to promote the music to where it's functioning and it's picking up. And he understands it comes with the grind, right? Because they're not going to show you love in your hometown based on the fact that they've never seen it done before, right? So you have to go somewhere where it's thriving, it's picking up, it's a hot spot. If that's where it is, if that's where it's big, then go there and gain the experience, the information, and everything you need to get better at it, right? So when you come back and then they see the result, it's like, holy shit, it's possible. Like, look, brothers and sisters, whether you do, music, you do media, entertainment, social influencer, hell, of OnlyFans, I really don't give a damn. Whatever you're gonna do it from your heart, have passion in it, have a purpose in why you're doing it, taking care of your family, yourself, or, making those proud of you, or even proving those wrong or who doubted you in the beginning. Keep in mind, it's about being progressive. Don't do it because all of a sudden, oh, I'm gonna do it because you said I couldn't do it. That's not gonna prove anybody right or wrong. It's just gonna prove that, oh, you just did it because it was a circumstantial thing, right? But as far as breaking the mold is where I want to make my argument, or where I want to come into this is you have to. You want to see representation. You want to see us on the screen. You want to see us in the radio. You want to hear us on the radio. You want to see us on the billboards. You have to break the mold. A lot of people, you said Fiametta. That's funny because if that's the case, get all the labels, all the titles, all the bad names they're going to throw at you. Because keep this in mind. As long as this doesn't change, and you knew why you started it in the first place, then they're always going to talk shit about you. They're always going to, it just, bullshit sounds better when you're winning. So with that being said, that's my 2 cents on it. But, we're in the early stages. I have nothing against nobody. I know there's people who hate on what other people do, but I understand it comes with the territory. There's no ill feelings towards anybody. We're just in the early stages of this, whether it's first generation to the most current generation. I understand right now, it's just how things work right now. But once one of us breaks through, or once all of us break through, it's going to be rewarding in the end for all of us.
All right, no worries. Yeah, Savage, I love what you said, man, breaking the mold. Because I do believe if you want to be successful, like, you have to break the mold. Especially if you're doing something for the very first time, right? Going into an industry that does have a big representation of us. And I know what Savage said, want to be a social media influencer, OnlyFans. So if you're a Pacific Islander female out there, you got an OnlyFans, drop me your OnlyFans. I want to support you. I want to support your OnlyFans. So let me know your OnlyFans link. I'll support you. We got you. Drop your OnlyFans.
Why is Marcus laughing so loud?
I got you. All the OnlyFans out there, I got you. Drop that OnlyFans on the chat, and we'll follow you and check you out. All right. Anyways, we'll pass it on to Chelsea. We'll pass on to Chelsea, man. What do you think, Chelsea?
You know what? I can't speak on this. I could, right? But I'm just going to go to my experience of life. So my father came here in the 78, 79. We didn't get here until 1981. What I took notice is that as my father was working 3 jobs, the rest of my siblings was doing what they were doing. One brother got out of his comfort zone, and what he said to me was like, I'm no longer going to work for like $5 an hour. Take it back. It was $3.75 at that time. I would no longer work for $3.75. And what he said at that moment, this was 19 something. What he says is, I'm just going to start getting paid $10 an hour. $10 an hour back to those days was humongous. And so he went and took on some, he then went and became a private investigator. I'm going to work for like $5 an hour. I'm hearing echoes. All right.
You're good. You're good.
So he went out of our comfort zone to do something completely different. And it didn't mean that he had to give up his culture. The culture that we all lived in still is. What he did was he went outside of his comfort zone and learned something new. So he literally went out and found something different that nobody else was doing at that time. Out of him doing that, 4 out of his brothers, of his siblings, all became private investigators. You get that? Mm-hmm. And just in that one action, we all got out of our comfort zone and saw that there was something different. This is back in the early 90s. And once we got out of our comfort zone, our culture became bigger in a sense, because we can always go outside of our culture and then come back and get lifted again, right? So it's not so much more of we have to give up our culture. It's our foundation. But the fact that we can learn to get out for a little bit and find something different other than staying in our comfort zone, right? So within that, 2 of my brothers also went to the military. What they brought back, it was the knowledge that they brought back that gave us more. So we were constantly learning new things in our life. And that goes back to, yeah, if I was staying in that little house, all I known was that's just it. What's being passed around, in the information that's being passed around in the house is all that there is. It took one person, a second person, a third person to get out and bring more information home, just like back in Tonga. What you know back in the island, such a small island, that's all you ever have. And that's why we venture out to New Zealand, Australia, and back in here to the United States to get knowledge. Sometimes you do have to get out. That's it. It's you gotta be able to willing to step out of your little humble home and go bring some more knowledge, bring help back into the household.
All right. Yes, Yossi, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing. And I love what you said. You have to leave, right? You have to leave the house. You have to venture off on your own in order to find your level of success. Like, you can't stay within your circle or comfort zone. And I know with Islanders, like, we're so dependent on each other to the point that it takes away from our independence in order to do things on our own, because we're so dependent on family, right? But for me, moving out was like the best thing for me to do, to find myself and success. And Natasha, thank you so much for joining. I'm gonna come to you real quick. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Much love to you, Natasha. I'm gonna go to Daniela, and then I'll come back to you, Natasha. And of course, at the public Zoom links on the live chat, if anybody want to join the conversation like Natasha, definitely just be in the waiting room, and I'll give you some time. But go ahead, Daniela. Speak your piece.
Yeah. Hey, this is a really interesting question to ask, and bringing culture around it. So I wholeheartedly agree that you cannot be as successful as you are if you only hang around within the circle that you're in. But when we talk about culture, a lot of people always refer to ethnic background. Culture is just a practice. Ethnic culture is a deep-rooted practice within that ethnicity, right? So culture can be many different things. It's used in corporate world and companies. Sorry, my kid's just here. And that's the way they operate as people. It's whatever the standard they set themselves. So when people refer to culture and having to go against it, no, you just adopt a different culture and implement it and improve the current one that you have. The other talk about molds. I hate it when people refer to mold as in breaking, because to me, the concept of a mold is to have something solid. So therefore you can build a mold around it. You cannot know whether the mold is has any sort of fault within unless you've crafted something solid, then to improve the next mold from it. So when we say break out of the mold, then how are you going to judge your level of expectation moving forward? The mold is fine, improve the mold, but you have to be something solid at first, then improve. So a little bit of a story of my journey into my own profession. I had to learn a lot of things. I'm what you would typically label as a introvert, right? The way that I speak and the manner that I carry myself from Monday to Saturday is something that I had to learn and I had to practice. I remember myself standing in front of the mirror and speaking to myself, learning all these different things. If you want to succeed, you have to learn. You have to learn about yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? From then on, you identify which area in life you want to improve in and where you want to head, whether it's a professional career or your own personal development. Set the target and then learn the skills of others that are on that stage or are moving towards that stage. Everything and anything can be learned. It's up to you to figure it out. But yeah, that's my little spiel on that.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Breaking the mold, and we have to learn and improve, right? Really appreciate that, Daniela. Natasha, thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. So it's all you. What are your thoughts? Appreciate that.
Guys. So I first of all, I'm juiced that I'm the only female on the panel right now. That's pretty exciting for me. And getting to listen to, you guys' perspectives before I get to chime in. So I think for me, in terms of Pacific Islanders being able to be successful when around other Pacific Islanders, I feel like your own personal success is contingent upon your own drive, right? It's contingent upon how you take what you have and who you have as a human being and utilize that to be successful. Because I grew up in a community and an environment where the demographics are predominantly either Palangi or Mexican. And I was the minority, where it was like everyone that when I would try to say I'm Samoan, it was, oh, so you're like from Hawaii. So then as a kid, because it became so like annoying to have to continuously like, nah, they're like stairs, like we're not the same, and then Lilo and Stitch came out and everybody, my big nose made me Lilo my whole entire like middle school experience, which is fine, whatever, I'll take that. But for me, I was very blessed with the fact that apart from growing up in Sonoma County, where, like I said, the demographics are Palangi Mexican majority, there was still a very small existing Polynesian, predominantly Samoan community out here. And I was fortunate enough to grow up within that Samoan church. So born in Hawaii, raised in California, the expectation is that I'm going to be whitewashed. That was my label growing up. That was because for me, not just as a Samoan, but as a female, my education was valuable to me. It wasn't, well, let's be 100. I was terrified of my mother. And she always threatened me that if she didn't find out in the moment, eventually she was going to find out whatever I did. So I kept my nose in the books, and that's how that worked out. But as I grew up, I realized that my education and my intelligence was really going to be my key out the door. And it wasn't anything to do with my culture. I was proud to bring that out, right? For me, I was very proud to be Samoan. I was very proud to be the minority, and everything that I did, even up until owning my own business, it was everything about sewing who I am into my community, right? So like where I'm at, there's like an Ohana's, which is the equivalent to like an L&L's. And we all know that L&L's being a chain is really, it's a hit and miss. So I knew that my contribution, because cooking was such a big part of my family, as polys, that's how we fellowship, right? That's how we bond. It's over cooking, it's over konga'is, it's over potlucks, whatever it may be. I wanted to share that because for me, my family was my love language. And so in terms of me feeling like whether or not Pacific Islanders can be successful when hanging out with other Pacific Islanders. I think it's a mindset, because for me, I opened my business and I put myself out there in hopes to be an inspiration to other, not just Pacific Islanders, but specifically women, you know, younger women coming up, you know, whether it be in high school and college or whatever, you know, like if you feel that burn in your chest, be bold in your pursuit. And that is my testament. That's what I bring to the table. And that's what I feel like for me, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter like whether you're hanging out with other Pacific Islanders, if you hang out with a bunch of, you know, Mexicans, African American, I mean, whatever it may be, you become who you hang out with at the end of the day. And that never is based upon race, right? So like, if you hang out with a bunch of people that aren't motivated, that aren't comfortable with average, you know, then that's eventually what you're gonna end up doing if you're not allowing yourself to pursue it. Because I had to watch your promo a couple times. And for me, like when you said, you know, we settle for average, for me personally, like my takeaway from my culture, my takeaway from being a Pacific Islander is that I very much know that at the end of the day, like I have domestic responsibilities to my family, right? So one day when I have a husband, when I have kids, like I know that the forefront of who I am is gonna be to take care of my home front first. But that's never gonna compromise or take away from the fact that I am an established businesswoman. And so I think that it should more so be about whether or not, you know, and within Pacific Islander groups, like, are we encouraging each other? Which earlier you were saying, you know, the not subscribing, which let me call myself out. I don't, but it's not because I don't support you. It's because I really don't be on YouTube like that. But no, it's all love all day long.
It's free.
No,
subscribe.
Well, you said it and I was like, oh my gosh, like it's not, but it's not personal. Like, I'm not trying to say like, I'm not a hater. I swear I'm right here. But you know, like that's for me, it's always been big where it's like, I've never been someone, because I've experienced the hate, because you ask anybody around me, my infamous saying when things go left is it really be your own people? Because at the end of the day, sometimes it really do be. And I refuse to be that. Like, I don't care how many times like I've not been supported or I've been, you know, shit on or disregarded, whatever. That's never going to compromise the fact or change the fact that I feel like a part of the reason why God made me a Samoan woman, a Samoan Tokelau woman, is to encourage younger generations that like, if you set your mind to it, screw like the generational curses and, you know, like whatever colonizer mentality that we're supposed to have, like none of that matters. If you have that fire, and whether or not, because sometimes that's the thing too, right? Is that we believe, because I've seen my cousins do this, where like, if we don't have the support of our family, we shouldn't do it. I've actually been in that space where it's like, when you have to pick what you're going to sacrifice, the automatic is you're going to sacrifice yourself, because that's how we're conditioned. And I think that so long as, because someone had said something in your comments about like, oh, to succeed, you have to sacrifice your culture, your language, your beliefs. Like, you really don't, because none of that is determined by your culture. None of that is determined by the fact that you're Pacific Islander. You get to choose that. And I think that's what it is too often within Pacific Islanders, is we are taught or conditioned that our culture and our roots determine our path. And that's not really how that works. Like, at the end of the day, God's preordained everything. So how much are you going to chase it, you know, to succeed? Anyways, I'm all over the place, but that's how I feel.
All right, no worries. Tasha, I really appreciate that. And yeah, definitely make sure you like, subscribe after this. All right.
Don't worry.
No worries. But I do have, I'm gonna respond back to Natasha, and then I'm gonna open up for you fellas, because I do want to bring up something that she brought up about that in order to be successful, you don't have to give up your culture, right? And for me, I highly disagree, because I do believe that in order to be successful, depending on the degree of how high you want to go, right? If you want to be successful, at some point you have to give up some part of the culture, because this is what I hear from a lot of islanders, right? The culture is perfect. The culture, the culture is perfect. And for me, the notion that it seems like, for me, like people act like the culture was made by God. Like, at the end of the day, culture is made by people. And people, when they made the culture, made it during that time they grew up in, and everything in life, especially when it comes to culture, things change over time. We don't practice the same things now culturally than we did 500, 100 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. So that means culture has changed. And do what Daniela said, we have to improve that mold. In order to improve something, that means something needs to change. And that means something, we have to give up something to replace it with something else. So I do believe that you have to give up your culture if you really want to make it. One thing that stands out to me is the financial obligation to the family. And you have to, whenever something comes up, we have to, as part of our cultural duties and responsibility, is we always have to give. And that is what I believe a lot of our people in financial poverty, because we reinvest into our families, to other people, but we don't reinvest into ourselves, our goals, our businesses, our dreams. And that's why a lot of business owners are broke, and a lot of business owners aren't able to fully scale their business because they're not managing their money, because they have to follow the culture, right? The culture is you have to give up their money when something happens. So I do believe when it comes to culture, since it's made by people are human, and people are humans, it doesn't mean that everything is perfect. So there's things that we can change, and there's things we can let go and leave that in the past and change. So that's my stand piece on it. I want to ask you guys, do you believe that in order to be successful, do we have to give up the culture? Is the culture perfect? Let me know your thoughts. And if you did give up something from your culture that you don't practice no more, even though everybody else is practicing, if you did stop doing something, I want you to talk about it as well. Bring it up. What did you stop? What did you sacrifice and stop practicing in order to get to where you are right now and become the person you are today? And for me, like, I don't send money home no more. I'm taking care of myself. When I become successful, I'm gonna go back and take care of all my people.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna take care of me myself first. So I don't practice that no more. But that's me. But I'm gonna come back to you, Marcus.
Pretty awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to kind of speak from.
Go ahead, Sas.
I'm just going to speak from my experience. So for what you just talked about, when the kabenga comes around, when the things that our responsibility is kabenga.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 25, I was still I was married at that moment, and I was still paying for rent for the family. I mean, I couldn't raise my family because I had it in the way that I was taught that this is much that the immediate family is more important than my own.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of me moving to San Diego was not to get away from that responsibility, but to take on my responsibility as a man to grow my family. So I'm glad you got really specific about culture, because when we throw culture, there's so much in it, in the culture. But having this one example gives you an idea, gives all of us an idea that there are certain things that you can twist. Yes, the culture is made by men, and we can tune it up or tune it down so that it works, and that there's workability, not just for yourself, but for everybody else. So if I didn't choose to get up and walk away from supporting everybody else, I'd be exactly where I was at. I'd be struggling. There's no moving to bettering who I am as an individual, or bettering the family that I created. None of that would have happened because I really had to get away from. When I say it out loud, it sounds like what an a-hole. I had to get away from my brothers and my sisters and my mom at that moment so that I can grow. Mm-hmm. And I only grew because I walked away to better myself. So I'll leave you guys with that.
Yeah. I would say the only reason why it sounds like we will sound an asshole to somebody if they don't have the mindset that you do.
Yeah.
It sounds, they always say that, if you talk to your goals with small-minded people, it sounds like you're bragging. But if you talk to your goals with people with the same mindset as you, it's uplifting. Right?
And I think with the right people too, because that very much reads as sacrifice, right? Like my dad did the same thing. He had to step away from his family in Samoa, and he had to make a decision to choose, like you said, to take care of his family. Because in the Bible it says, once you acquire a husband or a wife, that it becomes your first. That's who your priority becomes. Yeah. And I think culturally, old school, the OGs, they don't understand that. It's very much like, no, we are always first. And so in that regard, I agree to that. And I also, just to add, Ms. Hidbet, I think that culturally it's rendered as selfish when we choose to step away and pursue like our dreams or like our aspirations, that it's like, then it turns, because it's uncomfortable for our families, because it's not the norm to want to step away. So I think that, that was a really good point, because I thought of my dad when you were sharing.
Yes.
Yeah, the other thing was there's the concept of inasi in Tonga, right? So it's giving to the king, but the king then also shares within the community. But the currency of exchange was food, was not money. You know, and Ulukalala, who's one of the great warriors for Tonga, had a saying that the reason why the white man is greedy is because his value is in the pa'anga. And the pa'anga cannot go into waste. You can hold it, you can save it for a later date. Whereas our currency was through the value that we gave people, whether that was food or through service. So therefore you have to use it, otherwise it'll waste. So we always exchange, but nowadays that the currency of exchange is now money. You know, that dynamic changes the way we look at inasi and how we give to people, right? So it's always demanded of us. And like I mentioned before we jumped on live, the biggest problem for us as Pacific Islander when we come into foreign country is that we come from a communist places where it's the leader gets all the glory and whatsoever, whereas we exist now, myself in New Zealand, who's very much a capitalist society, so is the US from what I can understand. So we have to shift our mindset in the sense that we have to adapt to the new society and how the rules are made up. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to sacrifice your culture in a sense. You can leave certain aspects. There are more morals and values from the Tongan culture that I uphold and I follow them through and through. There are some things like the kawenga and that sort of stuff. I cannot survive and look after my main responsibility, which is my family, if I'm always giving, right? So like what Will was saying, I'd rather succeed and come back and help than to help you stay and exist both in the same level, right? That's just an anchor for us to both drown.
Right, no worries. Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, so what I want to talk about, I mean, like, it goes back, kind of ties into what I spoke about earlier, you know, and Samoa, we got falavalavas and stuff like that, where and tithing for the church and stuff like that. It's money that you have to give. And this, again, we go back into service. The one thing from the village mentality, the one thing, like, you're all in the village, you're there to serve your people, you serve your village and do whatever fails need to be done and all that kind of stuff, right? And so then, like, and then in the church, you give 10% of your money, and that's how we keep everything going. You know, but then when you're serving, when you're there to do like the maintenance and all the stuff for the family, for the village, for the church, for whatever, you know, that's good. You can be of service. You can help out in any kind of way. You don't have to give the money. But then also at the same time, if you leave and you go out, you want to throw back the money to help and be of service to them because, you know, again, they're not bringing money in, not bringing that capital in. You know, that forms that competition that I was kind of talking about earlier that stops the forward progression of that because, okay, well, you don't know how to speak Samoan, you don't know how to do all the traditional stuff because you're not here. You're off doing your own thing. You're selfish. You know what I'm saying? You're not helping the community in growing and keeping the culture alive. Does that make sense? And so, like when I look at that, it brings up another problem with the whole, like with getting outside. And I was always taught, and I read somewhere that you are going to be as successful as the 5 people that you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so like, if I'm stuck here and I'm doing this, then I'm never going to bounce off of that lid. I'm only going to be as good as you, as my people that I'm hanging out with. Right. So that's the reason why I feel like you have to go outside of the village, of the family, of Polynesians in order to win and bring that back. It's very important that you always come back with it. And I love what you guys talked about because the mold situation, you know, you have to better the mold because a mold is strong. But, you know, again, in order to better that mold, you have to make it solid, right? But then that new mold is now formed and created. So that's where you're breaking that mold. And I see it happening with a lot of newer generations where in my day it was not cool to be smart. You know, it was cool to be good at sports. It was cool to be the big guy, but it was never cool to be smart. But today's kids, I think that we learned from that lesson is it's cool to be smart. So when you use the reference of the military, Savage, you know, like I did 22 years in the Army. You know, I did 22 years in the Army, and I told my kids, you know, hey, y'all don't have to follow my footsteps. Go and be better than what I was. And so my son was like, Dad, at 17, Dad, I want to join the military. Nope. 18, nope. 19, I want to join the military. How about no? Right? And so it took him till 22 to finally, he's like, Dad, I went to school, I ran track, I did all these, I got a job, I took care of the family, I was of service to the family. I've learned what you've taught me, it's time for me to go to the military. I was like, all right, son, you've dealt with life. Okay, cool. And so I'm here right now. My son's graduating from basic training tomorrow, Veterans Day. And so like he followed in my footsteps, which is fine, right? But that is his idea of success. And so when it comes to it, like one of my questions I have to everybody else later on for a different time is, what is success to you? And is our culture evolving to be successful?
All right. And Marcus, one thing I do want to ask you, I know I brought it up earlier. Was there something that you had to give up that was culturally in order to make it happen?
Yeah. So going back to, back to sending money home, and I'm just going to say it like that. Again, for the first 2 years after I joined the military, boom, always home. My parents were, my mom and my parents were in the house. My little brothers and sisters, they call me dad, you know what I'm saying? Because I was the one bringing in money and my stepfather was not working, doing all this kind of stuff. And so I had to get to a point and I said, Ma, I can't do this now. And just like Natasha said, I'm now married. I cleaved myself to my wife at that time, and I have to provide for my family. I can no longer do that. I can no longer give to this. I can no longer, do these things. And so that's what I had to give up, man.
All right, for sure. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Marcus. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. I see you guys on the live chat. Everybody on there. Will Tupo, I see you on the live chat. But yeah, I see your thoughts. We'll come back and respond to all your thoughts. And so definitely let me know. They're dropping bombs. All of our guests are dropping their knowledge. So let me know your thoughts on the live chat. You're interested in what everybody thinks. But Savage, go ahead. What's your thoughts on?
I agree with everything you all said. I don't have no disagreements to that. I think more importantly for me is that the knowledge I've gained and the experience that I must speak from is my truth. And the businesses that I partake in, I mean, it's not the norm to the average Pacific Islander, whether you be in America or wherever the hell you at. I was around a lot of negative influences. The street pharmacists, the night walkers, or the prostitutes, and and you kind of just see why they go through the things they go through, and you judge them before you know them, and then when you actually see why they're doing it, it's like these are your boys. That's your boy's auntie. That's my cousin from the other side of town. And it's easy to judge them when you don't understand what they're going through just to make ends meet. And so business, as far as the Pacific Islanders, right? Can we make business and stay together with each other? And what levels of exploitation do we go through in order to legitimize what we're doing in life, right? Yeah, you're going to go through some levels of exploitation as far as first generation. It's just, I don't know why it happens, but it comes with the territory, right? And I'm not proud of a lot of things I've gone through. Sometimes you just end up in the middle of Tijuana at a donkey show and you don't know what a donkey show is, but you just end up there, right? And there's a lady up on stage who's making $400 in the night to take care of her family. And you're sitting there sipping your tequila with all your friends and shit, being 21 and all. But you don't understand that lady right there just made her month's income. And, you go back to America and all of a sudden you're like, damn, well, what's my people in Tonga going through that makes me want to, pursue anything? I gave up the fuck up. I gave up the Otua Motonga Hokutofi. I mean, I gave up. Like, I had to give up all that crap. Well, I'm sorry. Not all that crap. That's not what I meant. I apologize. Let me take that back. I gave that all up to understand that the information and knowledge I've gained now to make business for myself was because my grandparents left Tonga. I mean, I've done things and said things that go against our very culture, the very core of our culture. And it's not a means to break us down, but to make content, to make just essential content that highlights things that I believe. And yes, I do make money off of it, not in like a cheapskate way, but I make money off of it because of the information I put out based on my experience and the conversations I have. I don't even have a degree. Will, I don't have a degree. I didn't go to university. I didn't go to, fuck all that bullshit. I'm on YouTube learning calculus, Shiba Inu. By the way, invest in Shiba Inu because by the time we touch the penny, you're going to be shit out of luck.
Yes,
go invest now. I'm learning shit at a faster rate than I ever did in public school. I mean, they're teaching my daughter shit like this. Martin Luther King succeeded in his journey of equality and the civil rights movement. What they failed to tell her was that the dude was assassinated. And so when I told her, you could only imagine the tears coming from her eyes, why that wasn't disclosed to her, right? So I get on TikTok, I go viral by disclosing the story, and I damn near almost got I can get my daughter kicked out of that school for the shit that I said. But it's like, why are you not teaching that? Fuck the fact that I went viral and made money off the video. Why are you not? I was passionate when I came out with that information. And then I make another video, oh, well, Tonga was never colonized. Well, I beg to differ. I don't know if you noticed, but our flag says otherwise. You may not believe we were colonized by another nation, but religion speaks otherwise. So I'm controversial as fuck. And I know I'm good at it, but I'm good at it because I have a passion to the information I put forward, right? I'm not trying to tear down nobody. I'm trying to make you think twice. And once I've done that, I've been effective. So did I have to give up things? Yeah, I gave up a lot and I'm not proud of it. But shit, man, I'm already too far ahead to go back. Once I do get established, all this shit right here, look, the face paint, all this, this bullshit you see right here, all this, even me being on your panel, right? Because it's a form of me using you to get where I need to go. And it's not like I'm shitting on you to step over you and not give thanks when it's time to get back. All this is branding. I learned this shit on the go. No one taught me about real estate. No one taught me about investing in shit that I had to come back. Life insurance, health insurance. My mom, my dad, nobody knew that shit. So if I had to leave the tribe, if I had to leave the village in order to gain some sort of progress, in order to come back and teach us what we're missing in the world, I'm sorry, guys, but I have to leave. It reminds me of a story that I performed the 5-2 a long time ago, the Foha Mama Okoloa, right? The Prodigal Son. And most people would love the story because the son came back, but they don't highlight the fact of what he went through and why the son who sat with the father, why he didn't get all the glory, why he didn't get all the shit that he should have deserved, was because that son knew when he went out into the world and experienced everything that he didn't really need a lot. He just wanted to come home to his father and just live life. In a lot of ways, I hope to one day come back as the prodigal son to my father and my mother with the shit that I've learned in the world and hopefully we can benefit from. But as far as Pacific Islanders, whatever, breaking the mold or building the mold, whatever the case is, if we're behind, and just hear me out, if we are behind right now, imagine when we catch up. Imagine when we catch up.
Yes, sir.
Imagine when we catch up. And that's all I can say to that.
And one thing I would say, Savage, I love everything you said. And we always talk about the mold, right? The mold needs to improve, mold needs to change. But for things to change, for things to improve, you have to challenge it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's if you want to be a better version of yourself, you have to challenge your older version of yourself, become a better person. So if we want to improve the culture, like we have to challenge it. And challenging, like you said, it's gonna ruffle some feathers, it's gonna make people mad, but that's what challenging is. If you want to seek the highest truth, you have to be able to challenge it. And the notion that in our community that we can't challenge things because of culture, that's what's holding us back. All right, it's holding us back, man. Yeah, Savage, keep doing your thing, man. All right, Daniela, what's your thoughts, Daniela, on everything?
Yeah, I agree with Savage, right? My personal story and how I reached a 6-figure paying job, I dropped out of school, became homeless, didn't even go into any university at all, right? And I went into construction holding a broom, sweeping up after everyone's shit. But I said to myself, this is what my uncles are doing in this country. I'm not going to be one of them. In the future, I'm going to have a family, and I want that family to be here because of the opportunity that this country provides for me and everyone else. So I can't follow suit what my old man or my mom, my brothers and sisters. All my brothers and sisters have got degree in some way or form, but they're in low social class jobs. They can't break out of the mindset to stay within the village. And like what Savage said, I had to do things that were against who I thought I was, against the Tongan in me or the humanity in me in some sense. But that's what's required. If you want to succeed to the level where you wake up in the morning and not have to worry about where your kid's next meal is coming from, or how long you're going to keep the house, I've got to make rent next month, or that sort of stuff. You have to break out of the mindset that you are just this little village. Our ancestors were navigators of the moana. They adapted to all sorts of different environment that they were in. I don't know where the loss of translation has come from, that we have to seclude ourselves to this tiny little spot on the map. That's also part of the reason why I challenged a lot of the Pacific Islanders here in New Zealand when they use the hood and so proud of it. What are you so proud about coming from the hood? You know, your ancestors traversed the moana. They didn't limit themselves to one spot. They knew who they were. They knew where they were from, but they existed all throughout the Pacific Ocean. I'm a big believer in words. What you say out into existence is your reality. Choose carefully what you say, because it'll come back to you. It's your own affirmation. So yeah, that's man, Savage. I think I might change my name to Savage Jr.
And Daniela, just what was the biggest thing in the culture that you had to like sacrifice? If you had to pick one.
Whakaapa to my parents.
Yeah.
What kicked me in the ass was my parents saying to me, "Would never mean anything to me until you put a degree on my wall." And I said, fuck it. Like, being sorry for my French, but I said, fuck it. I'm going to prove to you that I can succeed and overpass you without a single degree to my name. And now I respect them, because being where I am now, I now appreciate the sacrifices they have to go through. They had to go through. And my relationship with them is now a lot better than it was back then. But I had to have that friction. I had to go against my own parents and say, you know what? A piece of paper is not going to mean anything to me. I'm going to prove you wrong. And of course, it started with a bit of negativity and friction. And it took me years to get my head around and being grateful for what they've done. But yeah, man, the initial breakthrough is always going to be rough, but it's what's needed.
Okay. So, Chelsea, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts are, Savage, you're crazy, and Savage Jr., you're just as crazy. And I want you guys to consider that you really haven't given up much. You may say you're giving up the whakaapa part, but not really. Because what is whakaapa? It's respect. You haven't given up respect. So dig back in your mind and say, what did you really give up? It could be just a thought. Right? We don't give away, we don't really give away our culture, right? Who does that shit? Nobody does that. Nobody. Because all we want in our life is to be loved. And this is not just in the Tongan culture, the Polynesian culture. This is every human being. We thrive to be loved, to be respected. And we thrive in making sure that our family are fed. And there are many more. That's what culture is. There's no difference in you and a black person and a white person. We're all doing the same thing. We all just want to be loved, be touched, be heard. But we isolate ourselves when we call ourselves Tongan Samoans and all of that. We are all beautiful in our own way. But once we start pointing that you're this, you're that, you're this, we then isolate ourselves. What happened that we're all human beings, going back to we're human beings. And I say this a lot, when I can see you as a human being, everything disappears. When I can see you as my brother and my sisters, all the shadows of life in your head disappears. Because now I see you as a human being. And when we're sitting here having a conversation about how I disrespect this person and I tell this person to F off, you have forgotten who they are for you. You have forgotten what they went through to get there with the knowledge that they had. So that you can take on this life and be different. What father would want you to grow up and be just like them? They travel from one island to the next, to this land, so that you can have a head start. But don't sit here and like flip off all those generations that came before us. They've done their part. Your part is not to be stupid. Your part is to take on what's at this moment. But don't sit here and disrespect those that came before us. Because your little ass wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them making the sacrifice so that you can have a little bit of insight about life. So I go back to my culture, our culture, the human being culture matters. Is that you respect every single person around you. Now, we're all gonna be a-holes in life. Just like I discovered at 50, I'm an a-hole. And I always be an a-hole. But I can do something about being that a-hole. Right? I can do something about it. Because my father has traveled far and worked hard, died young. So I can be different. And going back to the culture, I'm no longer in the culture of Polynesian culture. I'm in the culture of human beings. And when I start respecting every single one of you guys, then I can then go to work on myself. So you want to double check in what your culture, what part of your culture that you're giving away. Because you all say that what comes out of your mouth is powerful. Also understand what you're saying at this moment is just as powerful. What you say about our culture and who we are and how good we are at this moment, because what I'm hearing is that we're so good in what we do at this moment that the rest of everybody's shit. I want you to go to see it. You're just as shitty as the word that are coming into your mouth. Because we don't all have to be the same. We're human beings. We have our own thoughts, our own mind, and success is based on somebody's happiness, not on what you think. Who the hell are you, Will? Who the hell are you, the rest of you guys? Who the hell are you to tell us what success is? The fact that I'm able to live until I'm 50 is success to me. The fact that I can wake up every goddamn morning and feed my kids is success to me. It's not $100,000, $150,000. It's not because I'm wearing some goddamn nice shoes. Because I'm at peace with who I am and the person that I ended up being is successful to me. I don't have to wear a nice t-shirt to make it so you can look at me and say, I'm successful because I'm wearing a nice t-shirt. My human being culture taught me to love. It taught me to love, but it all came from my grandparents, my mom, my dad, my brothers, and my sisters. And those are my foundation of love. What I had to do to suffer, not suffer, what I had to do to walk away and be different is what I did. And I don't take anything away from what my grandparents, my mom, my brothers, and my sister has done for me. Matter of fact, I hold them up so high. As I'm walking around pretending and living a life that I do today is because of what they have done for me. My brother didn't go to the military so I can sit here and whine and cry. So be mindful. This is not a game of just throwing words around and discrediting the people that are around. We're all human beings. All of those people that are listening to you and they're listening to powerfully. Love one another and treat each other as equal so that way we can all start building and rebuilding, healing ourselves from the inside out. From the inside out. I love me. And when I love me, what shows up there is love. What shows up there is love. And I love my people. And I love you all.
Yeah.
That's all I got. I'm
I love you too.
And Chelsea, even though you're an asshole, but you're my favorite asshole.
No, I think it's interesting because what Chelsea is saying is highlighting the different stages of what you go through, right?
Yeah.
And it's necessary to get to the stage where Chelsea is now and be grateful and have his mindset. Otherwise, you'll be old and bitter. Although I agree with Chelsea and a lot of things that he says, to me, it's absolutely vital that I attack the world in a manner of I have a chip on my shoulders, right? But I'm also mindful that the stage I get to where I'm somewhat equivalent to Chelsea, I need to be grateful. Otherwise, I'll end up just being bitter. The mindset that I have now will not sustain me long term. When I get to 50, when I get to 60, when I get to 70, the mindset that I have now will not sustain me. I will be bitter if I keep the same mindset that I have now. But right now, it's necessary for me to succeed. And my definition of success is I want to bring my own people up, and not just my own people in the sense of my own culture, but the people around me who's helped me gotten to where I am. I want to bring them also up and to help them spread, the same sort of mindset, right? And yeah, man, it's powerful to see the level of gratitude that you have, Chelsea. And I just got to say, I'm sorry for calling you Semisi on our first panel. I went back and watched that and I called you Semisi. But yeah, that's my part on that.
Marcus, did you want to say something?
No, it went back to it. I think Daniela talked about it, but again, it's all about love, and again, like when it comes down to love, I mean, love boils down to service and how we serve. But again, success. You're right. Success is subjective to each individual person, and then when it comes down to it, can we be successful within hanging around our group? And I think that's what it is. And let's just take culture, because you're right. The human race, the human culture, society, us as men, or mankind, not men, but mankind, you know what I mean? Like, we create these barriers, these boundaries that we feel the need to break out of, or we feel the need to grow and make better, and so, like, again, subjective. We talk about success, like, what is success, and can Will become successful? Can we allow him to become successful within our community? Why do we have to turn outside to go and become successful? Where are the examples of success inside of our community? Like Natasha said, be the first. Do you know how hard it is to be a trailblazer when everybody's bringing you down? It's, that's all I got to say, man. It's wild. Yes.
Savage, go ahead.
I just wanted to have an admiration moment. I don't want to get too soft, besides the fact that I was crying most of the time when Chelsea was speaking. But yeah, I'm always on Chelsea's page. I'm always, whenever he posts a story, besides the good people that he works with and the funny things he's always saying and doing, like, it's amazing to think that my elder, someone like Chelsea, is not out there not only just living his best life, but it's something I can look forward to. When it's time to retire, when it's time to, emit the 401k and like just live my life for all the hard work and the fruits of my labor. Now I get to sit back, enjoy my family. Like, he just had a video the other day, I believe it was his grandson. They're at the beach. You know what I'm saying? I can't say that my grandparents or my mom and dad, they grew up watching that, because they didn't have social media. So representation, they didn't get to see that. But to see someone like Chelsea have access to that, my generation, the generation next, or the younger generation, or the 18-year-olds, the 16-year-olds, it's like, it's possible. It's possible. You know what I'm saying? So, I just wanted to say that because it's not highlighted enough. There are other people out there. There's Rhodes. You had the other lady on the Fahu subject last week. They're out there living their best life, and it's possible. When we see more of this and we have access, I don't care about the clout chasers. I want to see that. I want to see that because that's obtainable. That I can reach that. I can touch that. It's real. So that's it.
Yeah. First of all, thank you. That was not my grandson. That was my 10-year-old son. You make me sound old, you son of a gun. What the hell? Yeah, is my hair that gray? Jesus. I know my skin is nice, but damn. No, but Savage, you're absolutely right. It's I never got to see my father. My father worked 3 jobs. He came to my football game once, and I can never forget him standing, watching me play. He came once, and I still remember that day to today. Like in this moment, I can still picture him leaning against the fence that he's watching. And I promised myself that I would show up for my children. And I promised myself that I would play, that I would play rugby with my son, and I've done that. Right? And I continue to love to show up for my children. And it's only because I saw what my father had done. Like my father went to war for me in terms of, he went to work to make sure that I had an opportunity to live life and gave me a second chance. Like, he went through the struggle. I'm the byproduct of the struggle. I became stronger as he was doing his thing. I became a stronger man. And all I want to do is pass it on to my son. To pass on what I didn't have. And this is part of the culture that we're all going to have to take a look at, right? What is it that we're going to do differently at this moment to have the next generation move forward with wings? That there's strong men up here and then strong men in here. That they have both sides, the feminine side, right, and the masculinity side, because those are the most two important things in culture. But it's not taught. If we can understand the masculinity and the feminine side, we have beautiful men, strong men, Polynesian men, human beings that can move forward and not just move, right, but move mountains. Because we have gotten better as human beings. And teach them both so we can have better futures. On top of that, better leaders than what we have already.
Yes, sir.
And so this is the part where I talk to you guys, like, be mindful what you say, because the leaders of tomorrow are listening, whether it's tonight or the next few weeks or next few months. What you say about our Polynesian people is very important. Very important. You can either empower them what you say, or you disempower them and they're going to flip you off and walk away and be different. This is why I say be responsible with what comes out of your mouth, because you're listening and the next generation is listening. We're not just talking about male. We're talking about male and female. That's going to be future leaders of the next generation. I'll shut up.
No worries.
Natasha, you came out on time.
I'm gonna take a page out of Chelsea's book. I'm gonna be an asshole right now. So I see there's about 18 people watching, only 6 likes. So there's a bunch of y'all that are liking the video right now. So if you're watching the video, like the damn video. I don't want to be an asshole, but I'm gonna be an asshole right now. Like the damn video you're watching right now. It's free. Press the like button. And if you really love the content, press the subscribe button. Don't be a ninja watcher. But anyways, thank you for watching. For everybody that's tuning in, make sure you drop the live chat. And Natasha, what was your thoughts about it? I know you heard the whole conversation, about giving up culture. What's your thoughts about that?
So I really appreciate all the different insight. I think for me, I was trying to figure out what it was exactly that I felt like I gave up, because I am with CLC where I very much value my culture, because I understand that my drive and mindset comes from my dad. And the sacrifices that he made to make sure that we had a good life here. And I don't take that lightly. However, on the other side of it, in terms of like how I grew up, and speaking directly to Pacific Islanders, hanging out with Pacific Islanders culture aside, because I value and hold my culture to a very high regard, I feel like I gave up acceptance. It was like I was a part of the generation where everybody was smoking cigarettes and cutting school and wanting to drink. And people don't believe me, but I didn't drink until I was 21. I was scared shitless of my mother. So I was not going to by any means jeopardize getting fostered or anything, because I was, in being a female and being the oldest daughter, my mom was very strict and protective. And at a younger age, I don't understand that, right? I just feel like my mom is suffocating me, trying to control me. And I only get to go to church on the weekends, help clean the phone, do my fit hours, and like be in Sunday school. Growing up, that was a burden to me. Also, on the other hand, now that I'm older, I speak the language fluently. I write and read and write the language fluently. And you know why that is? It's because I lacked the acceptance within my community of Pacific Islanders, because I wanted to go to school. I enjoyed learning. I wasn't able to hang out. I didn't want to smoke cigarettes. My father was an alcoholic. So for me at a young age, drinking was not appealing to me because of my association with it, right? And nobody understood that, but that's not anyone's business to understand. All I knew was that for me, I realized that I had to give up trying to fit in with what was in order for me to stay true to who I was. And as an adult, that turned into me being bold in my pursuit. Again, just to use that phrase, because I very much firmly believe, like COC said, you can be any race, any ethnicity, you can be male or female. Your success is contingent upon your own drive and who you are. And if you really believe in what you want to be. You know, and I think that in terms of acceptance, there also is that level of comfortability, right? With that village mentality, like Marcus had mentioned, where it's like, you're conditioned to believe that we're supposed to be in this safe zone. And anytime we venture on even just the outskirts of it, just a smidge, we're going against the grain of things. For example, when I first started pursuing my small business, and I told my parents, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to pursue this full time. That's not normal. The OGs don't understand running your own small business, because for my dad specifically, he came from Samoa. He did school here. He worked for PG&E. He started out as the kid in the yard that picked up the garbage. Now my dad is an inspector. He's a big dog. He's a shot caller in PG&E. And he doesn't ever, and he, mind y'all, English is his second language. So despite what America said he wouldn't be able to do because of his limitations and the fact that he didn't go to college and have a degree or whatever the case was, that man put in sweat, tears, hard work. He utilized the stigmas that we have as Polynesians to his benefit, to make sure that not only was he successful, but that he set his family up long-term for success. My mom and as kids, we never had to worry. You know, and that was for me, like my dad's takeaway from this island mentality and village mentality is that he is the provider. And my dad made a way for all of us, even to this day, even having grown ass kids, my dad still be taking care of us. And so for me, like my personal struggle was battling and going and feeling the stress of like not being accepted growing up, because I was always the Fia Palangi girl or the whitewash kid. And I wasn't Samoan enough. But then within, you know, my community, I wasn't normal either. So it was like I had to find comfort and my own sense of self-love in order for me to not care about where I was accepted. Because at the end of the day, like Josie said, along with self-love, if you lack self-acceptance, you got nothing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I see you. And so it's like one of those things where it's like, once I realized that I didn't need that, my not choosing to drink and not choosing to smoke and not choosing to cut school and being afraid of my mom didn't define who I was, neither was I mean, it broke barriers for me. And so my next hump for me as an adult was going against the grain of my parents' level of security. Like for my dad, it was like, well, if you're not working, you don't have benefits, you know, and these are all very valid things. But I had to reassure him that God is gonna figure it out. Because for me, that's the fire in my chest, that I felt like that my purpose in life was to take all of my family values that are tied to cooking and sow that into my community. Because for me, not only is that me being an example to younger generations and even people in my generation that like, if you want it, go get it. But that also is me introducing my culture into areas of my community that are not familiar. So now it's not just me taking Hawaiian barbecue and utilizing that as like my foundation, but then I can integrate things like palusami. I personally love, like I love just being able to tie in different Polynesian dishes, right? So that's me doing my, you know, work and my research respectfully for if I'm gonna, you know, try to incorporate, you know, dishes from Tonga, or if, you know, I'm looking at like, I've tried meat pies, I suck at them, but I'm gonna keep going. But like little things, you know, like from different areas that where we are, like I wanna sew all that in, because I want people to know that we are not just football players. We are not just yate workers. We are not just, you know, and that's why Savage, I admire you when you say that you go against everything you were supposed to be. Areas of uncomfortability or not the norm for our culture, you said, screw it. So to me, I don't look at it as you disregarded your culture. Nah, you allowed yourself to pursue what's uncomfortable. And they say that when you're uncomfortable and in uncomfortable seasons, that means God is moving in your life. So when you feel that, you feel me? And that's what I learned. Because that for me, that's another thing too, completely other thing. But like you talk people, you know, people want to bring in your religion, and like we talk about falabelaves and we talk about tithing and stuff. That's all for me, it's colonizing, like, right? Because I was conditioned growing up that if I wasn't giving my 10%, you know, then I wasn't going to be blessed. And then, so it's all these things where it's like, there were these burdens that were created. So I had to, for myself, again, that's separate myself to realize that like, at the end of the day, no matter what culture, it's your responsibility, if you are blessed with success, to pay that back into your people. And it's like, and everyone's journey is different. I mean, I spent my first year of business, my dad never left me alone. Literally every month was like, well, how are we paying this? How are we paying that? When I tell you, I started 2021, booked all the way to December within 2 months. And it's consistency, it's drive, right? And that's what I'm talking about for me, that it's like, I agree with Yossi, where it's like your culture is this, that's who defines us. You know what I'm saying? So if you're hanging around a group of Pacific Islanders that want to succeed, y'all going to encourage each other. But if you hang out with a group of Pacific Islanders that are comfortable in the life that they're living, there's no knocking that. It doesn't make them less than us. That makes them comfortable in where they're at, and that's okay. Yes. Because you know what I'm saying, Marcus, I love that. But that's, you know, for me, that's the biggest thing, where it's like, I will never downplay someone's comfortability, or because like Sophie said, success is about, it's about loving yourself. It's about loving people. It's about being compassionate, and being an asshole is necessary though, right? Because if you're not an asshole, then people take advantage of you, because it be your own people talking about, let me get a discount. And you know what? If you really about that support, you're going to pay full price. There's a meme floating around social media that says, you know, where they hold up like, how you trying to support me? We'll pay everything then. And I'm not saying like someone can't come to me and be like, hey, yo, Tosh, like, I'm kind of tight on funds. Like, no, if you're hungry, let me feed you. That's, at the end of the day, that is my purpose. You know what I'm saying? But don't come around me knowing we just got paid yesterday, talking about, let me get half off of that whole plate, and then can you put extra on top of that? Because we won't talk eyeing of baskets. Hello, that's what I'm saying. So I think that, you know, again, whether it's Pacific Islanders and Pacific Islanders, it's not just, I mean, you shouldn't want the success to be like for you. You know, and that's where the loving comes into play, right? Because when you love others enough and you love the people around you, you're going to take them with you. And I'm not saying take them with you like your bankroll is their bankroll. No, but encourage them, be the example, be the role model. So gentlemen, when you guys talk about giving up things and going against the grain of your parents, like sometimes that's a sacrifice that has to be made, but it doesn't determine who you are. It doesn't mean that you've disrespected your culture, if you disrespected your elders, because look at y'all now, right? Like you guys are doing great. You know, and that's what it's really about, is that at the end of the day, once you've taken the avenues and you've gone through the valleys and you've climbed the mountains of what you've had to go through to get to where you are, we just don't forget who we are and where that came from. And that's really where that success comes from. Because if you just take your success and run and never look back, that makes everything that your ancestors and your parents, whether or not they agreed with you or didn't support you, in vain. Because at one point or another, whether you were 5, 15, 25, 35, a part of their sacrifice and commitment they made was sowed into your life, whether it was minuscule or humongous. And that's why for me, it's like your culture isn't defined or determined why you're successful. It should be your why. Because for me, at the end of the day, like my parents are my everything, but you know who really built me? My grandma did. So I'm not going to sit here and allow myself to be too stagnant, because that puts all the fussies and the scoldings and everything she taught me in vain. And I'm not, you know, I mean, right now, if I'm going to be really transparent, I had to, in July, I actually had to close down temporarily. My little brother got sick. And so I'm currently in Kaiser, Oakland, because I made the decision to take care of him. And a lot of people were like, well, why would you do that? Like you were already booked. Because at the end of the day, business can reproduce itself. Family can't. And that I'm not going to let anybody tell me that because I chose my family over my business, that makes me less business minded. Because at the end of the day, when homeboy's better, you know who's gonna be barbecuing my chicken? Y'all best believe it's gonna be him. But anyway,
I got you. All right, no worries. All right, thank you, Natasha. Natasha, I'm gonna drop you off real quick. I'm gonna conclude with the guests. I want to say thank you so much for jumping on.
Thanks,
really
guys.
Thank you so much for jumping on.
Thank you for jumping on and having the courage.
I bless all of you. Thank you.
Right. All right. You have a good one, Natasha.
You
all
too.
Right.
Thanks, Natasha.
All right, fellas, I do have a video I want to react to real quick. I'm gonna play this video. It's a video I saw that was somebody I saw online. I was looking on YouTube. I think it was very interesting. It was something that he said about it's this guy did an interview with New Zealand, you know, back on Daniela's home turf. I'm just gonna play it real quick. It's about a 2-minute video.
Hey, Will,
go ahead.
Will this be the same kind of video you showed last time?
I wish.
I'm just asking, man. So, you know, I have virgin eyes. I just want to let you know.
No, we don't need to blur. We don't need to blur anything this time. So Because I see that video was really interesting. He had the same answer to this guy. He did an interview with someone guy in New Zealand. He brought up some good points, and I want to ask you guys your reaction to it because I think he said some great things. So I'm about to share my screen real quick, and I'll play to you guys the video, and let me know your thoughts in the live chat. All right, let me see. Here we go. Okay, there you go. All right, let me go. Screen. All right, can you guys see it?
Yep. Yeah, I know this guy personally.
Okay, this guy I saw in New Zealand. He did an interview, and we're gonna watch it real quick. It's about 2 minutes, and then I'll ask you guys for your reaction and your thoughts about this.
One of the things I was raised to believe is that we can do better in life, as a Pacific Islander, that it's never been something that handicaps us or that holds us down, but it has been our unique point of difference. So that's always how I was raised. And then, having been in politics for the last year as campaign manager and stuff, what I saw a lot of was a lot of this sentiment, or even just this subconscious idea that we're not good enough in a certain way, and it, not only just from one side, it's just from everywhere. And so lately I've been thinking, why is it that we aren't doing as well as I know we can? And so it's funny, 3 weeks ago I was playing last card. I know how to play last card, right? I'm the master at last card. Sitting there, and I was on my last card, and the person to my left was on their last card. I had 2 more, and I knew that this person had. So I was like, okay, put down 5, pick up 5. And I said, pick up 5. And then they put down a 4. And I'm like, what the hell's that? And they're like, 4. And I was like, what? And they're like, 4's block. I said, I didn't even know there were blocks. And then another guy said, oh, well, 7's block, not 4. And I'm sitting there going, there are no blocks in last card. Who the hell? But then it made me think, you should ask the game, what are the rules to the game in the beginning? And so that's how I feel like sometimes in life, we're not asking we're not actually taking a step back. What are the rules that we're playing? And so when I took philosophy, in my first year of philosophy, the teacher said something I'll never forget. And he said, life is like a school field. You have soccer going one way and cricket going the other way and touch going right through the middle at lunchtime, and you have all this chaos. And until you take a step back, you don't actually see the game separately. When you're stuck in it, you're just doing a whole lot of stuff. So here in Auckland, we are one of the most multicultural cities. And so we have all these crisscrossing cultures and things, but you actually have to take a step back and say, what game am I playing first? And what are the rules? And so now, as Pacific Islanders, we have 2 different value systems. We have one game, I call it, which is Fa Samoa, according, in my culture, where it's the paramount value is respect. Know your role, know your place, do as you're told, be seen and not heard, that kind of stuff. That's actually what it is. And so we have this saying that everyone always says in Samoa, just awa o Samoa ua uma o na tofi, because Samoa has its order. We are very hierarchical. Then you come to Kiwi land, here in New Zealand, Aotearoa, I love this place, but it's all about egalitarianism. We're very tall poppy syndrome kind of people, Don't get too up yourself, don't blah, blah, blah. Keep it nice and chill, relax, all of this kind of. And then you have 2 things that are right, directly opposed to each other. One which says, this is your role, this is the hierarchy, this is what you do. And another one that says, it's up to you, you can decide what you want, just go with it. And so as Pacific Islanders, we're sitting here literally confused because we have 2 conflicting views within ourselves. So the whole idea behind Free the Life is that you take a step back and then you decide, what game am I going to play? Am I going to play the Pākehā game? Am I going to play the Samoan game? Am I going to play, the whatever?
All right. So that was a video that was played. Fellas, I do want to ask your thoughts about this because I did receive some messages during our live show about a lot of the youth. They're asking us, like, how do I become successful? How do I find the mindset? We're all talking about mindsets. We're all talking about finding our definition of success. But I think you brought a great point about the rules of life, because I do believe life is a game. And depending on the game you're playing, if you poverty is a game, being wealthy and successful is a game. And if you don't know the rules in the game that you're playing, and if you don't abide by those rules, because there are certain rules you have to play in order to be successful. And I know a lot of times we don't know this information. We're not surrounded the right people. But once you learn the rule, like I always hear this from a lot of successful people, once you learn the rules of the game, it's easy to make money. It's easy to lose weight. It's easy to improve yourself once you understand the rules and how to play the game. So what I want to ask you guys is, what was your experience of learning these rules? What rules did you learn that you weren't taught being around Pacific Islanders, that you had to learn for yourself, going outside of the culture, going outside the people, and that's how you were able to take it to the next level? I'll start with you, Marcus. What were those rules and what was your experience?
Let's get it. So I'm going to talk about three different things. The first thing I'll talk about is questioning. So one of the reasons why this podcast has started to be successful, one of the reasons why we're able to continue having conversations is because people are asking questions, right? People want to know whether it's argumentative or it's just for general knowledge. People are asking questions. So the first thing you have to do is you have to ask your question, ask questions to people, right? But you also have to look internally and ask questions to yourself to figure out why you are the way that you are. So the next two things I want to talk about is the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. All right. We talk about it. All right. A fixed mindset is it's a limiting beliefs that I am only good enough, that I'm only going to be strong and that I can't do anything else, that I have to go to school. I have to get an education because that's going to help me get a good job. That's a fixed mindset. I have family members that have fixed mindset and they get mad at me every day because I have a growth mindset. Now, the difference is that a growth mindset is there is nothing that I can't do. I can get out there and I can be whoever I want to be, and I can do whatever I want to do. If I want to start this business, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to lift weights, I want to do jujitsu, I want to work construction, I want to, paint my face, put on my makeup, you know what I'm saying? Like there are things that you want to do. Like, but that again, a brand, that's you're known for. Like people are gonna know you for those things, for these things. So number one, ask the right question. Number two, develop a growth mindset. All right, just get rid of all the limiting beliefs. Now, in culture, you can apply these same things within our culture, within your own culture. You can apply these same things within your own family. And as long as you keep two things in mind, service and love, you want to serve your family, serve your people, and love everybody, you can apply those three things to every single thing that you do. So that's where I feel about that. Play the game, but while you're playing the game, ask yourself focus on those three things. Let's go.
Man, thank you, Marcus. I wish I had, I'm going to make a fact sign right now so I can put it up right here. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if this is my experience, but when I growing up, I was so afraid to ask questions. I I could even in school, like, when a teacher asked a question, I was always, even I knew the answer, I wouldn't raise my hand because I was so afraid to be wrong. And I think that I had to unlearn that as I grew up. Thank you so much, Marcus, man. Facts. Daniela, man, what's your thoughts, man? What are the rules that you had to learn about, in your experience with it?
What are the rules? There are no rules. That's the first thing. You have to establish, there's this thing that I like to talk to young guys, especially when they ask me this question, because I share my story. The reason why I have a chip on my shoulder is because I'm a first generation immigrant. I had to be a man at 7 years old because my mother died. I hung around with people older than me. So I developed a very self-aware mindset earlier on. It was my double-edged sword because being a very self-aware person, you're prone to being emotional. It's something that all self-aware people that are very self-conscientious go through. So whether you're self-aware or not, you need to establish that because you play by two different rules. People who are self-aware need to check their emotional reaction to a lot of things regularly. And you have the ability to analyze that. People who are not necessarily self-aware, you have to remind yourself. So when you do come into the state where you are aware of your presence and where you are in life, you need to write down things, plaster them all over the place. That's why it's good to have posters, have to write out goals. Self-aware people, they don't need to do that because it's always here. But as a person who goes through the motion of life, that being not self-aware is not necessarily a bad thing. You just have to understand that you're that certain person and accept it. Whether you refine that craft and become more self-aware, different story. But if you know that you are not necessarily self-aware, you're not aware of where you are in life most of the time, you have to remind yourself physically, write things out, have a diary, write things down, put goals together. That's the first thing. Then your sets of rules then become your ethos in a sense. So you have to create them. That's why it's very important when we do these podcasts, especially around young men, is know your values because you have to create them. And hanging around all different characters allows you the chance to reach out and bring certain different tools or refine your own. You either make new ones or you galvanize existing ones.
All right.
my rules in terms of success and being successful is that I can learn anything and I can become anyone. I didn't know how to speak English, but what my father instilled in me was that he brought books home. He worked at the harbour and he worked as a bartender in Tonga. He brought English books home. And his thing to me was learn how to speak English. You don't have to understand them. Learn how to speak it. I figured out that in the Tongan dictionary, every word has a way of pronouncing it, and it's stated very clearly beside the word. I found an English dictionary. That's how I learned how to pronounce words. When I got into primary school and they taught us the basic of English, I connected all the dots of what already in my brain, just from reading. And I learned English so quickly. When I came here at 14 years old, I was better at English than most of my classmates and whatnot. So I think without even diving deep into what success may be or what level of success you want to achieve, you need to determine whether you're a very self-aware person or not. Doesn't mean that it will limit your way of succeeding in life. It just means you play by different rules. That's why some people sit there and are so confused at why other people are more successful than they are. It's because they don't understand their mind. They don't understand who they are as a person. You understand that, you'll come up with your own rules. My rules won't apply to anyone. There are some core fundamental in there, but my rules will never apply to anyone other than myself. I know myself better than anyone, and someone trying to replicate what I do will never be as successful as they can be. So that's my take on it.
All right. Thank you, Daniela. I know you said there was no rules, and then you brought up a rule.
Well, you create your own rules. That's the good thing about having no rules, is that you can create them.
All right, no worries. All right, Savage, man, what's your thoughts, man? But playing the game and the rules.
Well, I mean, being in America and being so adamant where I'm at in my life against the establishment. I am definitely anti-establishment because the rules are constantly changing. You get to a plateau, all of a sudden they change again. And then you get to a plateau, all of a sudden you change again. So I've kind of found my own cheat code, and that's communication. Growing up in California, the Bay to LA, growing up in East Oakland, specifically off 94th and Birch, shout out to the home of the Strays. Closed mouths don't get fed. So if you're going to stand around and watch everybody eat and you're getting hungry and you're going to sit there like a dumbass and not open your mouth and figure out what the source of food is coming from or how to get it, you're going to starve to death. You are going to starve to death. One of the many music influences and motivational leaders that I follow a lot, besides some of the people that, I look to in social media, Nipsey Hussle often says the marathon continues. And I understand the mindset behind it, right? All money in, no money out. It's not necessarily the money. It's, are you all the way in? Because if you're not, you're half-assing and you're not getting anywhere in life, right? It's not so much a sprint. It's a marathon for the exact reason that go at your pace, right? So if my rule is communication, hey, I just wanted to know, how does cryptocurrency work? Oh, okay, cool. And what are some sites that I can source or something I can look into to do some proper research studies? Oh, okay, thank you. And then from easily, just a less than a minute conversation, I've gathered enough information to tap into things that'll help me benefit my own financial gain. And even if it's not about finances, right? Hey, how did you and your wife, get through that rough patch? Oh, okay, cool. You guys spent a summer in India. Wow, nice. Maybe I should consider traveling. It's as easy as open your fucking mouth. You want the shit that these people are going through. You want to be happy. You want to be successful. It's not so much as just like, for instance, most people won't even believe me, but I learned English watching Disney movies. There you see her sitting there across the way. You don't got a lot to say, but there's something about her. And I learned English watching Disney movies. This shit is not a joke. But I just sat there every freaking day. My grandpa would buy these movies from the garage sales, bring them home. I'm a kid coming from Tonga. And I'm just like, what the hell is this and that? And, I'm watching this, I'm watching that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm learning English as I go along. There are alternative ways to getting outside of the rules, but still staying within the guidelines of the game. You get what I'm saying? So as far as staying with the analogy of this young man here in New Zealand who had that interview, yes, the game is rigorous, it's difficult, it's remorseless, it's unrelenting. It really doesn't care about our emotions or whatever. But if you could stay within the guidelines and find alternative solutions, then by all means, succeed by any means necessary, just as long as it's not illegal and it doesn't hurt or kill anybody. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm having conversations with people, the likes, investing in stuff like, I don't know, condoms. We're talking about banana leaves to use as cannabis wraps. Things like skin grafting. I'm having these conversations. I never thought I'd be. If I could ever go back in time and tell myself, listen, this is the amount of information and knowledge you're going to need to hold these conversations with people out of your knowledge range, I would be overwhelmed. I would be overwhelmed because I'm like, I don't think I can reach that level of intelligence or even just to hold those conversations with the big dogs, right? But now I'm sitting there talking with professional linguists about videos I made that were very controversial. Like, for instance, I made a video talking about how ancient indigenous language, and I learned this bits and pieces through Chicano studies, Japanese American studies, African American history. And I kind of came up with the theory that there's no definitive word for the word hate in any ancient indigenous language, pre-colonial, pre-colonization.
Yep.
No word for it. So then you go off with the theory, which is, hey, so what are you saying essentially? What I'm saying is hate is non-human behavior. Non-human behavior, what are you saying? That it's an outside influence. And all of a sudden you start attracting the attention of high-time scholars. Listen, I'm from California. I don't know shit about these degrees and these PhDs and doctorates you guys hold, but why are you asking me my opinion? It's a simple theory. It's nothing more than that. Well, I'm just saying, what brought you to that solution? And like, now, I mean, I'm asked to come on to seminars. I'm not a motivational speaker. I wouldn't even know what to say in a crowd full of 1,000 people, but I know this. I brought myself here that far. You better get to fucking work it. You know what I'm saying? You built this platform. You built a community. You better fucking chin up. Look at the crowd. Speak with a proper authority and mean everything you fucking say, Savage, from the bottom of your fucking heart. Your ancestors struggled to get your ass here. You better not backtrack. It's a fucking alleyway, and it's me and you one-on-one, and I'm not backing the fuck down. So that's it. But yeah, fuck the rules. I make the rules. Kiss my ass.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's how we do it. That's how we do it.
At the end of the night, Savage will have his say.
I'm so sure I should be named Savage Jr. now.
Chelsea, go ahead, Chelsea.
Dude, I was so into his what he was talking about. What was the question?
We're talking about the rules that we have to learn.
Rules of engagement.
Rules of game to be to find your success.
You know what? I have it that every single person is going to go through the trials of life, and there's no guarantees in life. You're going to get what you need to get at whatever age you're going to get, whether you get it at 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50. You're going to get it when it hits for you. In that game of life where, my father was doing his things in life in hope that I see something different. What I saw in my father is that he was a hardworking man, and I didn't want to do that. Right? So my game for me, how do I not be like my father in the sense that I have to work extra hard? I almost died trying to be like my father. So I had to change the game for myself is, what is it that I'm good at? Like, you really have to take a look at myself. Right? And then, like I said, there's no such thing as getting at the right age or there's no right time for it. You're gonna get it when you get it. Marcus got his knowledge and some insight in life that he grasped on and held on to it, and he took off with it. So we all get it in a different time. And all I'm saying is, allow people to be people and trust people to find themselves when it's time. Right? Like I said, we all have our different own mindset, different thoughts that go through our life, and we all have different experiences of life. And it's our experiences of life that leads us to where we're at. If we have great experience as a child, most likely we're going to have great experience going forward. And if we have some horrible experience as a child, there's a lot more that we have to go through and release all the BS that we're going through in life, so that that life can be clear, so the future is clear. So this is not, there's no structure here. This is like, there's no manual about when you're going to get it and what's the rule. The rule is that you get to wake up every morning, you get to grow up, and you get look at people, and the person that you want to become, follow somebody, right? Do the things that looks right to you at the moment and live being that, because you can only live at 5 at 5. At 10, you have a lot more knowledge, 15 and so on. So there's no rule. There's really no rule. This is a everyday life struggle that you get to learn from. Life is an experience. And through your experience of life, you will get your life. That's it.
All right. No worries. Thank you. I like that. Life is experience. Like, I think one of the things that I do notice for a lot of people, they're so focused on textbook knowledge, but not going out and getting real knowledge through experience. You can learn, you can learn all the books you want, but there's nothing that beats practical experience going out there in the world.
Right.
So
there's definitely a difference in textbook or informational. There's transformational. Right. Transformational is what you go through in life. Textbook teach you how to get somewhere, but not really. You're good at what you do for a short period of time, but it doesn't teach you about life.
That's facts right there. Facts. I will add to what everybody said, and I'm about to take something a page out of Savage right now. I'm about to say something controversial.
Go on.
All right, this is my personal observation. It always bothers me when I see this. This happens a lot in the Pacific Islander community because we're so tied to religion, right? And this is going to be based on religion. And this is one thing I have to say out there to a lot of people. Stop. I always hear this from a lot of people. When something bad happens or they want something, I'll just leave it up to God, right? I'll just leave it up to God. I hear this a lot, and I would have this conversation with my family. They'll be like, if something bad happens, hey, I'll ask them, hey, what's the solution? How can we figure this out? Leave it to God. And I'm like, that's not a solution. That's not a solution. Like, what are we gonna do? And I hear this all the time from people. And for me, look, I believe in God, but I also believe in action and hard work and making things happen for yourself. And so many times I hear this from the older generation, just leave it to God, everything you'll figure it out on its own. No, it'll figure it out on its own if you go out there and figure it out yourself and making things happen for yourself through experience, what Siasi said. And a lot of times I will hear this from Pacific Islanders, and especially from my elders, when you ask them questions about your life, they're like, just leave it to God. It will figure it out. God will come in and figure things out for yourself. And they will, and I know people that literally just waiting for things to happen because miraculously God's going to give them everything they want in their life. And I just hear this a lot. And I just would say, like, I believe in God, but you have to make things happen and go out there and make things happen. You can't, God is not going to give you everything you want in your life. You have to, at some point, you're going to have to make things happen, and you got to stop believing in that. That's what I would say that, because I see this, I hear it a lot in the Pacific Islander community. But yeah, nevertheless, I know a lot of people.
Controversial, bro. That's controversial. That's controversial, and I'm gonna say it like this, and I respect you and I love it, But part of you saying that is you putting words into action, and that action, like, again, brings this group together to where you can learn something and solve that problem. And so that's giving it to God. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, that's what I'm.
No, I just heard.
Yeah. I got you. Hold on, I got you. Heavenly Father, please forgive my brother william-nacouzi here, for he doesn't know what he is saying is coming out of. No, bro. No, listen, like, Will, I know where you're coming from, and I know, you don't mean no ill will towards anybody, no pun intended. But yes, that is a big thing. I do notice in our community, when we do not put the action in, there's nothing wrong with putting it to God. There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, I'll let God do it. I'll, give it to Otua or whatever. Listen, if your faith is that strong, then beautiful. But if you're doing that and you're sitting your ass at home waiting for the signs, miracles, and wonders, man, we're not living we're not living under the commandments. Listen, that guy, Jesus, he died. He fulfilled the law. You don't need to worry about that. That's not your role. You know, he was the grace. He was the lamb. We can now go do for ourselves because he paid the price, did he not? So the fact that you would sit there and put it to God is like saying this, I don't need to do it because he's already doing it. So then what the hell are you doing? Yeah. And what are you teaching your kids? Oh, well, my mom and dad said God's going to do it, so I'm just going to sit. Listen, I understand about sitting and waiting on his time. Totally understandable. You know, I understand that. But if you're sitting there and you're kind of telling yourself that, you know, he's going to do it, he's going to do it, he's going to do it, he's going to do it. And eventually it's about, 5 years later, and now your kids are paying for your bills and catching up on everything you missed. I don't think that's what God was planning for you and your family. And I think you were actually counterproductive towards your spirituality when you said that. So that's just, I'm not only just adding on to that, but that's just my own personal experience. And it might have offended anybody. Listen, I wasn't trying to. I understand that you follow your Christianity. By all means, I understand. But I'm just saying from my own personal experience within my own circle, I've witnessed it.
Yeah. Don't worry. Just leave it to God, Savage. Just leave it to God.
And not only that, I think a lot of those people also really misinterpret creation, right? So if you're a Christian and you believe in God, God has created you and he has given you all the abilities, the talent, and the mindset to achieve whatever it is that you need to achieve. Giving it up to God is like the parable of the priest that was drowning. Boat came past. The priest said, I'll leave it to God. God's going to save me. So the boat went. Another boat came past. Jump in, we'll save you. No, I'll leave it to God. My faith is strong. Third boat came, same situation. Priest died and he went up to heaven, and he asked God, why didn't you save me? And God said to him, you dumbass, I gave you 3 boats to save you and you didn't pick one of them. It's the same thing with life. I believe in miracles. I almost died once. I drove home from a party, and with cars, they tend to drift to the left, whereas here we drive on the left. They tend to drift to the left. I fell asleep on the wheel, and I drifted to the right. Every car design is designed to veer you off from the next driver on the other side of the road. It's what I understand. I went into the right and hit a cheese grater. If I would have went to the left, I would have ended up in either a pole or the side of the road where it was instantly killed. That was a miracle for me. So I believe in God, but I also believe in God. He's created us to be able to achieve all these amazing things that we want to achieve. Mm-hmm. And like the parable, don't be a dumbass. You get given the opportunity, use it.
All right. Thanks, man. Thank you, guys. Thank you for jumping on the boat with me on that topic. How do we rise together? We sink together. We'll see when I post
We're all
this.
sinking together now.
When I post this, we'll see what happens. But we'll leave it. We'll leave it up. All right, but like I said, I just want to make it clear. Like I believe in God wholeheartedly. I believe in that everything I do in my life. But like I said, I don't believe in chance. I don't believe that success is luck. I don't believe in that. I believe we make our own luck. We make our own rules. We make our own success in life and making things happen for ourselves. But fellas, thank you so much. We have come to the conclusion of the podcast. Man, thank you so much. We had a good topic. We had a great discussion tonight. Natasha, if you're watching this, if you're still watching, thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will ask you next time. Like and subscribe to the channel.
Marcus,
like and subscribe to the guys watching right now. Press that like and subscribe button. Much love. We support. Like I said, this is what we do. But fellas, like I said, let me ask you guys same thing. What's your takeaway from this podcast? And how can people find you if people watching this for the first time and they want to find you? I'll start with you, Marcus, man. What's your takeaway and how can people find you?
Hey, so I got a bunch of takeaways, man. Again, I love that. I love the analogy of breaking the mold and, growing the mold. I love that. I mean, that makes sense to me. And then again, getting out and there are no guarantees in life. So see, there's no guarantees in life. So I'm going to take that in there and I'm going to go and make some amazing things happen. And like I said, you guys have inspired me, there's some things that I want to do to create just to get the word out. And I want to communicate my thoughts. And so how you can find me, you can find me on TikTok, Marcus D33. You can find me, same Instagram, Marcus D33. And look, it's official. We're going from Mr. Marcus. I'm gonna be Black Savage. Can I be Black Savage?
Go ahead. Hey,
go.
if you do your research, you might find a different Marcus. I just want to put it out there. So do your research, y'all.
Don't look him up.
Do your research, y'all.
Don't forget,
I challenge you.
D33.
I challenge you. All right. Daniela, man, what was your thoughts, man? What was your thought, takeaway, and how can people find you?
Oh man, this podcast highlights the different stages that we go through life. So it requires different mindset. But the end goal is the life that, to me now, is the life that Xiaoxi's living, and you know, his presence within his own kids now. He's attained a lot of success in his own life, and the goal is to enjoy the time that you have left with the people that you love, and the people that you care for in service. You can make it. If you're watching this, you can make it regardless of your situation. I'm gonna spill a little bit of my story, and I don't want anyone to come at me with, "Oh wow, dude, you're being vulnerable." I'm not. I'm living my truth, and this is my truth. My mother died when I was 6. I was forced into a world of men by the age of 7. At 11, I slept with a woman for the first time, and I was also raped by a group of men. That's the part that people always come at me saying, "You're being vulnerable." No, that's my lived truth. I was raped at 11 by a group of men. I came to New Zealand at the age of 14, and I went through my emotional toll going through that experience. My dad got kicked out of the country by my biological parents. I ended up being homeless by the age of 17 and was for a couple of years. Not only that, I was an overstayer here for 6 years. What that means is that I was similar to Mexican crossing the border over in the States. I had no option, went through all the options that was given to me, and none of them applied to me. At the end of it, I wrote a really long letter to the minister and say, "Hey, you want to deport me to Tonga? Here's my address. Give me 24 hours, say my goodbyes. But I want to live here because I believe that the opportunity that this land has for me can create better opportunity for my generations to come. I want to create a family here." I went into a work site with a broom, no skill, school dropout, nothing. And from there, I climbed every ladder that was possible to climb at the time. I had goals that I've achieved them in less than half the time. And you know what all of that has taught me? You have to believe in yourself more than anyone else does.
Yeah.
You are your number one supporter. And if anyone else come and support you and hold you up, take them with you. You will require people who have similar mindset to you in life, so take them along with you. And at the end of it, you know, be like Xiaoxi, enjoy it, enjoy all the successes that you have in life. But here's the thing, nobody cares what I've gone through. All that story that I just told you, no one gives a shit about it. My success is based on how I analyze the world and I react to it. So wherever you come from, you can make it. Just believe in yourself.
Yeah, facts right there, man.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing, man. Thank you for sharing, Daniela. Malo, man. Malo toko. And how can people find you?
Oh man, I have a different life on social media. I don't reveal a lot of my life, but if you really want to find me, it's 4 eyes, one lens. You usually find me in Will's podcast and the tags that he has on his Instagram. So hit me up if you want to talk about anything about life. That's right. What we're here for.
All right, that's my Toko, man, representing from New Zealand, all the way from New Zealand. Thank you so much, man. Always a much love. And Savage, I know you have to, people, if you want to find it, you have to.
Yeah, fuck off. Don't find me. No, like, seriously, at this point right now, I'm trying to avoid being fucking canceled. Just leave me the fuck alone. Listen, love to all of you men here on this panel. It means the world that my son will be able to look back at this as far as record and know that we few men came into this fucking world and tried our best to make a fucking difference based on our experience. You know, if nobody ever says I was genuine, let me be genuine. My name is Heneli Alexanita Devisi Lealiki. I hail from the island of Tonga, more specifically Vava'u, in the villages of Neafu and Halafuri. You know, my name Savage Island represents my Niuean ancestors on my grandmother's side who died of the disease that Captain James Cook brought in the early 1700s. That's what it means. I don't call myself Savage Island because it's a fucking coin term. It sounds fucking cool, and it, you know, oh yeah, it's a dope. He's a savage. No, kiss my fucking ass. I own the name. That's what it is. I own homage. I pay homage to that because they will never be remembered. The population almost fucking died. So if you ever wonder to yourself, why does this guy call him Savage Island? Why does he paint my face? Understand one thing. It was all internalized to a point where when it did blow up, luckily for me, you know, I caught my silver lining and I went through a spiritual experience, and I understood one thing, that I don't have to let it be my downfall. I don't have to let it be a negative experience. I can tell my story and be very genuine about it, and you know, somewhere along the way make money off of it. But you know, such is the way of the world these days. But if you young men, women, Pacific Islander or not, if you have a dream and you want to pursue it and you're passionate about it, whether you're with your group or you're not with your group, understand one thing. You're not going to know success unless you are fully committed to it. Don't worry about your group. You know, they're just not going to understand. And if they do understand, by all means, that's good too. But you have to fully commit first. You watching this right now, whether years later or even right now at this moment, you're going to have to make the difference by committing right now at a 100%. That's it. With that being said, my name is Savage Island, and I love all of you guys. And to my haters, lick my ass.
All right. If you do end up licking it, let me know. Let me know how you feel.
Man, I know Leah is a beautiful place. I've never heard of that last. Yeah, I got it.
All right. Last but not least, Yasi, man, your take and how can they find you?
Yeah, here's what I really got for tonight. And this really comes from listening to all of you guys. It's about truly not having your circumstance stop you, and not really having your circumstance be your life, that you can walk away from your circumstance and be powerful, right? And that you are the source of your happiness, you're the source of your anger, you're the source of your pain. Like, you're the only one that has the ability to transform any part of your life. If you want to be exactly where you're at, and this is what I'm walking away with in our conversation, if you want to be exactly where you're at, there's nothing absolutely wrong with you being where you're at. But if you want to better yourself, you're the only one that can make a choice to move forward or stay at where you're at. And it's beautiful. And I just want to walk away simply saying, like, how awesome again to see all of you guys. How awesome is it that we get to have the opportunity to have a conversation about things that matters to us and things that may not matter to others. But the fact that we're having a conversation discussing the issues at hand and allowing people to take a look down the line, or listen this down the line and go, yeah, why didn't I think of that? Right? And about my culture. I can be different about my culture. I can reinvent myself, reinvent my culture. It's a beautiful thing. And so I thank you, Will, for taking that on and being the platform that we can all just show up and smile, giggles, and, you know, and all of that I could say. How you can get a hold of me? You can get a hold of me on Instagram under Xiaoxi Mao or Ramana Fit. You can also get a hold of me on TikToks under Xiaoxi Mao. I love you guys.
All right. Fellas, thank you so much. Much love to you guys. The one last thing I just want to add on to close off what everybody said. And I know, Savage, you know, you're making money on your content. I know, Xiaoxi, you have your business. You got Daniela, six-figure man out there in New Zealand. That's my man. High value man. That's high value man. And Marcus, you know, you're making money for yourself. I do know for a lot of times, I've heard this so much in the Pacific Islander community that, if you know, this notion that, you know what, you don't need money, right? You know, you don't need money. And I'm saying is like, I'm doing my podcast. I want to be successful. I want to make money, but I know oftentimes we demonize Pacific Islanders that want more. And for me, this notion that the people that say that money isn't everything is people that haven't made any money. All right. Because you can't do shit in life if you don't have money. You want to take care of your parents, you need money. You want to take care of your family, you need money. You know, you want to retire, you need money. So I just want to put it out there for all you guys. Like, we're all here to be successful. And if you want to be successful for money and people are demonizing you, I'm telling you guys right now, you can't do shit without money. That's just the reality we live in. So I just wanted to add that point because that's something that just came up to my mind when you guys were all sharing it. But yeah, thank you so much, fellas. Always, like I said, like always, thank you so much for jumping on. Please support these fellas out there doing their thing in their channels and their content. Much love to you guys. We do this every single Wednesday. You guys already know we keep it real. We're gonna show up every single Wednesday, and let me know your thoughts every single time in the live chat. Thank you so much.
Marcus, the man.
You know, and yeah, and we support you. It doesn't matter what you do.
Yep.
You know, we support you. You're doing your thing. You're living your happiness. And don't forget, if you are IG model, you have OnlyFans, drop out your links. We'll support you as well.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
And reach out. If you have more questions, reach out to any one of
Reach
us.
out.
We'll be
100%.
happy to just help with any sort of question that you have. So reach out. You won't know until you ask a question.
No worries. All right, you guys. Peace.
Obrigado.